You summon me?
Oh, yes. I suppose I did.
Things are moving smoothly down in the camp. People are getting ready to move out, including myself.
In due time. I would say sit, but it's not exactly comfortable.
I'm fine with standing anyway.
You know, I used to bring the Ray around, talk to him. Even after all he did, well, all he took the fall for, I still would talk to him. Just unfortunately, he's not here.
Who is this person you speak of? I could try to summon them if they're around.
Gray?
Oh, Gray. Yes. Apologies, I didn't hear the G. I also missed that man.
Nothing be done. But no point in living the past. I wanted to talk to you.
What should you have with him, if you don't mind me asking?
Ideals, philosophy, why we fight, why we send other people to fight for us, why I don't go in myself and risk my own neck. Even though that'd probably win us more battles.
You already risk yourself as much as you can. It's not my place to say.
I don't think so, but there's a lot on the line. But I don't feel like I'm risking a whole lot. I know you joined my cause, Lucan, but I feel like you don't know why I started on this, why I did any of what I did in the past. Why I left the graces of Riston to flee to the northeast and hide, like a sniveling whelp.
You would be correct. I can tell you my reasoning for why I joined the cause, at least the real one.
You can start with that.
Of course, I heard good things about the cause when the late Lord Osric caught wind of what you were doing. And he was murdered, but I've always stated that as my reasoning as to why I trust you as much as I do, and why I'm willing to give literally everything up for your cause and what you fight for. But... and I suppose this reason has changed, but when I initially joined you, it was just to kill more Kingsmen. Kill more of those ruinous bastards that took everything from myself. The reason I joined you was selfishness. Rage. Before I met you, I was on the Stillwood for 5 bloody years. With a contingency of my men.
Apologies.
It is fun.
I think I was a fool back then to accept you, knowing all you wanted to do was just kill Kingsman. No offense, of course. I'm glad I didn't, but... it's not exactly why we fight.
Not at all. Even when I was in the Stillwood, I took a chance to help people when I could. Told my men to. My veterans, they're no longer with us. There's a reason why when I joined, a lot of the veteran guard from Bray joined up as soon as they knew that I was here. They believe in your cause because I do. And I still do. Even if those veterans aren't around anymore.
I suppose not.
I can say that the rage I had when I first joined up on your cause has died down significantly.
Is it for the best?
Now I could say the reason I joined you and fight as hard as I do is pure belief. Belief in what you are trying to deliver. Belief that your father is truly a demon that needs to be dealt with.
A big part of this fight is to show that humanity is on par with constructs. Not necessarily below, not necessarily above, but equal. Ishtar will be a stepping stone. And I expected that one day I would have to fight my own father.
Not alone.
I don't know if I can.
Don't
Not
consider
just
the
physically.
thought. You are a prince, with all due respect. You have people who watch your back, live on your beck and call, not just because of your status, but because of what you are. What you do, what you have done. You've shown that you learn. If I'm not mistaken, you're relatively young for a Iron Lord.
Infinitely.
Even more reason to say that I'm happy you're able to learn from past mistakes. Famine's a great example of that.
I still feel like I have to kill my father. I would love it if humanity could kill constructs easily, but they can't. It's just not how it is. It's funny, I don't remember much. I just... Suddenly I was with Atlas. Like I was placed somewhere, he picked me up, and we were off from there. I think I remember the Vidora Mountains coming from beyond, but that's all. And I've asked myself every day since then, why am I here? And for a long time, it was the same as Atlas. I thought I was here to rule, here to tell the people what to do. People as in humanity. And then I started to grow, I started to change, I started to realize, You're not that different. Soft, weak, but up here they're the same. I tried to tell my father, but he wouldn't listen. I just don't know why they couldn't see it after thousands upon thousands of years, and it took me only a few decades.
People work differently. What Elise used to tell me back when I was... had time to actually spend with her. She would explain to me how everyone works differently no matter which walk of life you have. Surprisingly wise for someone so young. Perhaps you just have a better grasp of these things.
I'm not certain. Think about it like this. You wouldn't know. You're young. But this is what the constructs told me. Not just my father, but the rest of them. They believe that humanity is meant to remain, to stay as they are. They are meant to grow, they are meant to change. And despite their views that were shared with me about how humanity was supposed to be this tool to serve us, I never saw that they were supposed to stagnate. I thought they were supposed to grow to serve us better, initially. And every other construct didn't seem to think that way. They wanted them to stay the way they were, unchanging. Even the old King Terranemrus, despite being a kind, more benevolent king, although a little slower physically, but kinder, he didn't seem to tolerate things that changed too much. And so over the... how long is the Emrys calendar? About 2,500 years.
Oh, in total.
That's the Atlas. Oh. That was the old war. But over the thousands of years, humanity has remained as they are. And I don't think that's just because they want to keep humanity weak and subservient. I think there's a reason beyond that. And I want to know why. And I want to know why I'm different. And I know why I'm different. I came out later. I was delayed. I want to know why I was delayed, why I was put there. Why that makes me think differently. But you don't have the answers to that, nor do I.
I could surmise a guess if it would make you more comfortable, Cassian. I could go the religious route of saying that you, were handpicked by Lucan to be out later, to be a spark, an aftershock of all this conflict that's happened on this continent. I suppose it'd be up to you whether or not you burn or brighten the way.
It means... am I supposed to be humanity's guide?
I believe
do I belong
so.
to the constructs? Some of the teachings of Lear describe constructs being the original guides of humanity.
Indeed.
You're supposed to teach them everything, put them on the right path, grow alongside them. But just as the constructs cannot grow, they didn't want humanity to either.
Why follow those teachings so vehemently? It's a good thought. Being on equal footing, that's what you're fighting for.
You know, I asked the constructs about the past, about the air, before that was completely barred. Atlas, despite trying to bring in a new religion, or enforce the ideas of Retros, acknowledged Liar, almost like an equal in regards. And it was in a solemn way. He felt like he was some kind of brother to him, a fellow child of Lucan. But for some reason, despite that acknowledgement, despite that recognition of legitimacy of that belief, he still pushed for Retros. And all I had was more questions. Despite having these ancient beings who knew so much more than anything else in this world, they seemed to only have empty slates at a certain point. Some of them seem to remember Lucan, at least their own version, and how they came here because of her. But beyond that, it's foggy. And that's the only reason I do believe in Lucan. Because they did. What do you believe, Lucan?
I wasn't always a religious man, so I can't say I was raised into it like yourself.
It's hard to believe.
After the... Well, I suppose you do not mind if I talk about my upbringing. But my father was a pretty renowned officer, a captain of the vanguard troops of Osric Alistair, back when he was a commander. He earned himself a name enough to be granted a last name of Fayne. Carpentry and all that, but he himself was not innately a religious either, so he didn't force it upon myself or my brother, or Kendrick's when he showed up. But it started to change him. His lack of being able to cling to something. When my brother died when he was 17 during the War of Kings, I wasn't doing fine, of course, but my father was changed fully. He was no longer the gentle man I was raised with. Instead of gentle sparring, it was training until bones broke. He got us into the war when I was roughly 16. I'll never forget the things I've seen, heard, or smelled from my rather brief time within the war, I suppose, in comparison to the extent of it. And I had nothing to cling to for a very long time. I was a shock troop. My job was to, because I was one of the biggest lads, ball charge the enemy commander's camps in the dead of night and slaughter them in their sleep. Or fight them when they're off guard at least. Bad business. The things I've heard. There's a point in time where I fought a general and won, but he was very vocal about why he was fighting, how hard he was, and it wasn't for his men or his beliefs, but rather his family. Spouting about a little girl he had home. I was in my early 20s, I didn't care. I was just angry and I wanted to kill him, so I did. And instead of being scolded for killing a father, I was rewarded. Knighthood. And after the war was well and done, several more years of killing, maiming, and you name it, I found myself buried in bars back at Bray. This was while I was assigned as the captain or vice commander of Osric's 20, but I couldn't give less of a damn, for lack of a better word. All I cared for was going to the taverns and starting a fight. Or drinking until I passed out.
Productive.
Something to numb the scent of blood that was always permeating.
I see.
Tristan Brent, or rather Sir Tristan Brent, the Knight Commander, caught wind that I was up to these activities, and he wasn't happy hearing that his second-in-command was a drunkard. Came down personally and had me basically whipped in the streets. I was dumb enough to fight him, and he showed me exactly why he was my superior.
I see.
He claimed that it is not bad to have this curse, but it is a curse nonetheless. He had me taken to a church afterwards, and taught me how to pray, I suppose. And for the first time in, well, as far as I could remember, when I was younger, it was gone. I was quiet. And I suppose ever since then I've been clinging to that feeling every time I pray. So, it went from a thing out of habit, out of something that I suppose I've tricked myself into believing. But I'd like to believe that she is real. And I will be vehemently religious, whether it's a coping thing or habit. All I know is that it helps. Helps with the curse.
I think you'd be sad if she wasn't. That would just create more questions for me. And it might mean that every human I've met is gone. Forever. Of course, there could be something else, but I think it would be quite sad if everyone I ever met would one day be gone for good.
It is a unfathomable thought. I would like to continue to believe that they are within her canopy.
As would I. I think there's evidence for things like Lucan. You're familiar with, when we were attacking your meats fort.
Yes, Mistgard, one of the more bloody, sieges.
Certainly. Due to an unforeseen, figure, or, individual. But the cannon shot that Killian had used is evidence of something.
Is that what it was called?
The Godbreakers.
Yes, that is a noise I'll never forget.
Jarek, he fought alongside you, I believe.
Yes, this is when I was getting close enough to become a father figure for him. I do believe Lucan was present at that
Just
fort.
her in. I think she was as well.
Apologies, just for him? I don't follow.
I think you become a father figure for many. May not see it. Doesn't matter.
Alright. I'm just doing my job as a commander.
Well, you're doing more than any other commander would. And you're doing it differently than any other commander would. which has been both a good thing and a bad thing. I'm sure you've surmised by now.
Yes.
But yes, I do think the wind was there that day. I know we lost men. More than we should have.
Miracle I didn't
But
join
I'm
the
glad you and
losses.
Derek... I'm glad you and Derek made it out.
Of course.
It was not your time.
I'd rather pay for it in blood than I would lose my life so soon in the war. But I'm never gonna get the image of Keith. Or was it Hillian? You get those names mixed up too much. I believe it was Hillian.
Yes.
I'm never gonna get the image of him throwing my men around, grabbing me. Nor the yelp of frustration he gave out when I made him bend his knee. My memory's fuzzy after that, granted. Last thing I remember after that is him grabbing my chest plate and then pounding my head in. I was told I was on death's door for about a month after that.
Were you comatose?
From what I was told, mostly, there were times where I would awaken, babble about something or other, and then be put back to sleep by the herbalist. I can only assume it was about the keepers that died. I knew most of those men from my stint in the forest. Would have been 7 years I've known for most of those veterans.
7 years since... About 7 years since Osric fell. If I'm not mistaken.
It was about 115 casualties in Mistgard. All veterans.
His war wasn't going to be without sacrifice.
Of course. Dare not blame yourself for the failings of a commander. I'm sure I could have done things differently to result in less. But the past is the past.
I know we're about even now with this John in terms of numbers. And if things are going at the rate they are, well, we might win. At least this front. But after that, we won't really have any men to put up much of a fight.
McNamara. He has most of the reserves.
Accounted for that. We're equal because of McNamara.
What of the church?
You think I should get their help? I think that is a...
Unless I'm mistaken, they are on both sides of the front. So either we talk to them and get a good rapport with the one on our side, or they hear that we kill a god, and we're fighting over on two fronts.
We do have church members on our side, people in Prof especially. They're trying to recover the teachings of Lier, practicing different ideas of Retros. But I can't say we have the church on our side. The men we do have aren't fighters. There's no army. It's just a few handful of priests and scribes. The church with the army? With soldiers? With fighters? That's any of us. And they are without a doubt under the king's thumb. I cannot account for them. And assuming we end this fight, we'll kill Ishtvan. There's not going to be any asking him to surrender, as I doubt he would.
We cannot
We
afford
have
to
to kill him.
hesitate. Last time there was hesitation with the construct involved, there was too many deaths. Twice. First with Alien, then with Heath. Cecilia was a fucking slaughter.
I surmised that. I'll be honest, Lucan, I don't see myself winning this war.
I do. You have several things in your pocket that you can work with. Unknowns. Not to mention, we can't exactly afford to do traditional war tactics. It's what I've been resorting to, much to the chagrin of Captain Vance. I like Captain Vance. He's better than others. He actually gives a damn, is willing to hear me.
He's a good man. Lucan, before we started losing, we numbered in the at least 1,000, I think, which is really impressive. I think we've come down to a little over half of that, if we're lucky. Last I checked, the king, in total, him having more of an authoritarian control over the entire kingdom, numbered in at least 10,000 men. He has soldiers everywhere. They're his officers, his guards, his keepers of the peace.
Keepers of tyranny. Even
And yet
so,
I don't even get a tenth of that. Believe me.
perhaps there's a boon in that.
There is.
Their lacks, this fort was a great example of that. Quantity over quality is all he cares for, and while his quantity is massive, I could be
I
sure.
wouldn't downplay his quality.
Of course, there are a select few, very likely as many veterans of the First War, but I'm merely stating that you managed to skew the perspective of a few old veterans. You could always do a few more. Not to
Tired
mention
of relying on
the
luck. But yes.
Well, then what would you like to rely on?
Utilizing the king's weakness against him.
Which is you. Are you intending on fighting? I hope not.
I may have to eventually. You have overconfidence. That's not just sheer luck. So you take
Perhaps.
advantage of their opinion of us.
perhaps there's a way to bolster numbers even more so. I know for a fact that if word spreads that, obviously it's the matter of us even getting close. But on the off chance that any of my old men are still up, specifically the 20, they can rouse people. The whole point of the 20 were to be figureheads. For those of Bray at least. Sure, if we get a few of them, they could try to rouse some people. All of us had our own contingents of men, but mine is pretty much spent. All I have left are 7, including myself. Actually, not even that, I have 5.
Not many.
Of course, there's also the chance of finding the heirs of the Alistair household, but that is something that is far out of our reach.
And as much as I would appreciate to have them, I don't think they'll win me any wars.
They could win people instead of wars. I believe that's the way we should go about this. That you should go about this. Your father's gonna stop pulling punches pretty soon.
Yeah. Osric's heirs are certainly something, but they're not Osric himself. No offense to any of them. I'm sure they understand.
What?
I can't bring back men from the dead. Only thing I can rely on is what the king refuses to let himself have. Things like the Godbreakers. My people are allowed to think. They're allowed to make, they're allowed to create, invent, procure. I think that's the only thing we have going for us, really. That, and they've underestimated us for too long. But as you said, he's gonna stop holding punches. I have to keep fighting no matter what.
Yes.
The war is bleak. But I will keep fighting, that I promise you.
As will I.
But on the off chance we lose most of our men, I would ask that you retreat somewhere. I don't think they'll kill me, but I won't see the light of day for a while.
Where would I go?
I would rather you make it out. I think the portal's still up. We'll have to break it, though. Or if you're lucky, you can catch a ride with some pirates.
With all due respect, Cassian, I cannot fail another man I have owed myself to.
And see it as me failing you. The people I promised I would free Tempest for.
Osric said the same thing. Or at least he would have. He ordered me to stand down when I watched them pull away to his death. I'm not gonna do the same for you.
He understood the fight was futile. Can't go against the king. I seem to not realize that.
You can go against the king. He's not clairvoyant. I'm sure he could have done more. I respect the man more than anyone else, sure. But every man has his faults. I cannot fail again. I will not allow it. I'd rather fall on my own sword. It'd be spitting in the face of over 200 men that have gave their lives for this war, that I've personally known. It'd be spitting in the face of the children I never had.
We can fight as hard as we want, but I think us winning the war is something for Lucan to decide. Doesn't mean we won't try. I think that was all I needed to say.
If these are truly your orders, am I just gone? I go through the portal, am I just banished from my home? into the world of gods that walk around the streets like peasantry.
Would you rather live under Atlas' iron hand?
I would rather have you in this war.
Then let's try and win a war.
All right, that's enough for me.